Hello and welcome to a CHSG history podcast. I'm Anna and I'm here with Kalechi.
Hey!
We have many interesting segments today.
Our first segment today is coffee.
You know what this means.
Oh no.
Why was the coffee shop worker fired?
I don't know. Why?
He kept showing up in a T-shirt.
Haha, so funny. Hi, today we'll be discussing the drink which is popular and full of caffeine, coffee, with Sarah. We're discussing the discovery of coffee, one of the most widely consumed beverages in the world and a product with a long and fascinating history.
The story of coffee begins in Ethiopia, possibly as early as the 9th century. According to legend, a young goat herder named Kaladi noticed his goats behaving strangely. They were unusually energetic after eating berries from a certain tree.
Did people believe the berries had special powers?
In a way, yes. Kaladi shared his discovery with a local monk who initially disapproved of the berries and threw them into a fire. But once the beans roasted, the aroma caught everyone's attention. The roasted beans were eventually mixed with hot water, creating the first version of what we call now coffee.
Coffee drinking spread from Ethiopia to the Arabian Peninsula, especially in Yemen, where it was used by Sufi monks to stay awake during nighttime prayers.
By the 5th century, coffee had become part of daily life in the Islamic world. In cities like Mecca and Cairo, coffee houses were places for social interaction and intellectual discussion.
When did it reach Europe?
By the 1600s, coffee had arrived in Europe, where it gained popularity quickly. In cities like Venice, London, and Paris, coffee houses were established. These became known as penny universities because the price of a cup of coffee. People could engage in lively conversations about politics, science, and philosophy.
In the 17th and 18th century, European colonial powers began cultivating coffee in regions like Java, the Caribbean, South America, and Africa. Over time, coffee became a major global commodity, and its production played a significant role in trade and economics, and unfortunately was also tied to the history of colonization, when one country or group exert control over another territory. Its people and resources often for their own benefit, and forced labor with enslaved people forced to grow coffee. So coffee isn't just a drink, it's a part of global history.
Exactly. Today, coffee is one of the most traded products in the world, and its journey from a wild berry in Ethiopia to a global industry shows how one discovery can shape economics and cultures for centuries. Bye.
That was a highly informative segment.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
Well, this next segment is giving coffee a run for its money.
It is Katherine Parr.
Ooh, I can't wait. Welcome back everyone to the final instalment of our series on 5 things you didn't know about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. Today we are going to discuss the lesser known of Henry's final wife, Katherine Parr.
Catherine is often outshadowed by her more famous predecessors, but Catherine is far more than just the wife who outlived Henry. From her many marriages to her feminist first, join us as we uncover her remarkable journey.
Firstly, did you know that Catherine was actually married twice before Henry?
No, I didn't. Who was she married to?
At just 17, Catherine married Sir Edward Burr, but unfortunately this was short-lived as Catherine became a widow at just 21.
The following year, however, Catherine married John Neville, who was twice her age. Despite this, the couple are reported to have formed a strong bond and were well matched to each other. This marriage marked the second time a Parr woman had married into peerage, elevating Catherine's social standing.
But once again, Catherine became a widow for the second time in 1542, but it was then that she would meet Henry.
I heard that Catherine was actually in love with somebody else.
Yes, that's true. When Catherine joined the household of Lady Mary, later Mary I, she met and formed a connection with Thomas Seymour. However, this love was short-lived as Catherine was unable to refuse Henry's proposal, and Seymour was posted to Brussels.
After becoming a widow for the third time, Catherine and Thomas rekindled their romance and got married in secret. When news broke out of the marriage, Edward and Mary refused to give the couple any support and even tried to urge Elizabeth to cut all ties with Catherine.
Despite this, the 14-year-old Princess Elizabeth moved in with the couple, and it's here that historians believe Elizabeth made her decision to never marry.
Really? Why is that?
Seymour had not long ago proposed to Elizabeth, and reports of her time with the couple write of inappropriate behaviour towards her from Thomas Seymour.
Despite this experience for Elizabeth, did you also know that Catherine was partly responsible for reconciling with the king with his daughters?
Henry's relationship with his daughters had been severely damaged by their mother's fall from power, yet Catherine played an important role in reuniting them. This would go on to have important consequences when Mary and Elizabeth were later restored to the line of succession and went on to become the monarchs themselves.
Catherine's impact on Mary and Elizabeth went as far as historians suggesting that both the queens modelled some of their reign on Catherine herself.
No wonder they chose to base some of their queenship on Catherine, when Catherine constantly proved herself to be an independent thinker and one step ahead of everyone else.
Really? What examples do you have?
Well, Catherine's second husband, John Neville, was a keen Catholic, so during the Lincolnshire Rising, a mob of rebels marched on his residence, demanding he join their efforts to restore Catholicism. It is rumoured he was taken by the rebels, whilst Catherine was left alone to protect Neville's children.
During subsequent rebellions in the north, Catherine was held hostage alongside the children at Snape Castle in Yorkshire whilst they raided her house.
It's thought that this is the moment that changed Catherine's religious views towards Protestantism, resulting in her being a key reason that Edward and Elizabeth harboured their Protestant beliefs.
However, Catherine's religious views landed her in trouble with the king on multiple occasions, and a plot was even made against her by some Catholics at court.
She wasn't beheaded though, so how did she get out of a plot against her?
Catherine was quick enough to find the warrant against her, allowing her to beg for forgiveness from the king and as a result save herself, while the Catholics at court were left humiliated.
This leads us on to the fourth thing you didn't know about Katherine Parr, which is also related to her religious views.
Yes, Catherine published several religious texts, but most importantly, in 1545 she published Prayers or Meditations. This book included 5 original prayers, but what made it different to her previous anonymous publications was that it was in her name, making her the first English woman to ever publish in their name.
The book was later translated into French, Italian and Latin by Elizabeth.
Lastly, Catherine later met her death in September 1548 after giving birth to her daughter Mary. She died due to childbed fever caused by bad hygiene practices during labour.
But despite being married to her true love, Thomas Seymour, in her final moments, Catherine accused Seymour of poisoning her, which could be true given that Seymour once again attempted to marry Elizabeth shortly after Catherine's death.
Catherine's funeral was the first Protestant funeral to be conducted in English, and the chief mourner was Lady Jane Grey, who would later become a challenger to Mary I's throne and be known as the 9-Day Queen.
Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of our time on Katherine Parr, but also to the end of our series on 5 things you didn't know about the Tudor wives.
We hope you have enjoyed this series and have learnt something new about all the wives that will distinguish them from just a single word in a rhyme.
I really adored that segment.
You sure? Because the next segment is Celtic rebellions.
More.
That means great in Celtic.
Hello and welcome to this section of our history podcast.
We are going to be having a wee chat about Celtic revolutions.
Why are you talking like that?
Like what?
Like a Derry girl.
Because we are going to be delving into Scotland and Wales.
Yeah, Derry's in Northern Ireland.
Shut up, man, it's the only accent I know how to do.
I'm going to revolt against both of you if you don't shut up.
Sorry, yeah, my bad.
Right, so let's start off in Scotland where we have a look at William Wallace.
Oh, yeah, he's the one who no one really knows anything about, isn't he?
That he is. His life is shrouded in mystery because he lived so long ago. Historians believe he was likely born around 1270 in Paisley, Renfrew, Scotland.
Right. Okay, it's all well and good me knowing who this guy is, but why was he rebelling against the English?
Well, in 1296, Edward I of England launched a military campaign against Scotland as the Scottish had signed a treaty with the French.
This would lead on to the fall of the Scottish army very shortly into the fighting.
So we can all pack up and go home? No more Scotland?
No, obviously not.
I was only asking.
We haven't even spoken about Wallace yet.
Well, William Wallace joined forces with Andrew de Moray to rebel against the English at the Battle of Stirling Bridge.
Wallace had built up a rebellion with the Scottish people. His forces killed hundreds of English invaders before they even crossed the bridge.
Right, so no more England
Will
then.
you please stop wishing death upon these
I'm
nations?
providing commentary.
Will you both stop? It's getting annoying. Anyways, now, while the Scots faced few casualties, Moray ended up suffering fatal injuries and dying, which greatly tanked the impact of the Scottish cause.
Wallace and the remaining Scottish forces chased the English south into Cumbria. Wallace returned to Scotland after forcing the English to retreat with treasures and wealth.
So Wallace really benefited then?
At first, Powers? Yes, he did, even retrieving a knighthood from the Scottish king.
However, his victory was short-lived, as Edward would return to Scotland in 1298 to crush Wallace and anyone else fighting for Scottish independence.
Edward captured almost every major Scottish castle, ruining Wallace's reputation and
Sending him fleeing into the Scottish forest.
Oh my god!
Stop interrupting!
How do you even know that?
Horrible histories.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Around the year 1400, Wallace had a dispute with his English neighbour.
So it started because of some petty neighbourhood stuff. What, did he forget to take in his bins?
But yes, Wallace fled and eventually he would be caught by the English.
Wallace was executed on the 23rd of August 1305 and his head was impaled on a spike on London Bridge.
Right. What about the other Celtic nations? Like, the other ones?
Wales?
What about them?
Oh, despair.
One of the most prevalent Welsh rebels was the Owain Glendower.
Born around 1359, he was of a wealthy Anglo-Welsh family.
In 1401, the rebellion grew. Glendower's forces pillaged the surrounding English towns in the name of Welsh independence from Henry IV's rule.
4 years later, partly thanks to the Welsh weather, the Welsh were victorious, and Glendower was officially crowned Prince of Wales after the success of the rebellion.
So what did Owen do now that he was Prince?
He reintroduced traditional Welsh laws to the nation, freeing it from English control.
However, Henry IV's forces had dried off and returned to Wales to reclaim the land.
Welsh towns fell and Owain's family was sent to the Tower of London.
But what happened to him?
Glendower disappeared into the Welsh wilderness.
Why are they all so at one with nature?
I actually don't know.
Anyway, Owen is seen as a symbol for Welsh freedom, even though he's probably been dead for 600 years.
Robin?
Yes, right. So, many Celtic rulers have rebelled throughout history.
And why is that?
Because English rule was often oppressive and unfair.
And the two rulers who covered were?
Owen Glendower and William Wallace.
And what happened to them both?
Glendower disappeared and Wallace was beheaded.
You finally got it.
Ha ha.
I feel like we're forgetting a country.
Yeah, we are.
Northern
England!
Obviously not England.
Oh.
Northern Ireland, which we will cover in our next podcast.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
I like learning about the Celts. Me too. But I'm very thrilled for the next segment, which is on a poet. Who? You'll find out.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Isha.
And I'm Dora. Today we discuss 5 things you never knew about Mihai Eminescu.
Who is he?
He is a famous romantic poet from Romania. Not only was he famous, but he is also the national poet of Romania. He is also known as the most famous and influential Romanian poet.
When was he born?
He was born in Botoșani, Romania, on the 15th of January 1850.
And when did he die?
On the 15th of June 1889 in Bucharest, Romania. The first evidence of Eminescu as a writer was in 1866.
So when did he publish his first book? Or poem?
Poem. It was called Dash Avea.
And in English?
In English, it is translated to this, if I were to have.
So what happened after? That we know of, at least.
In 1867, he joined Iorcu Caraciale's troupe. It's a group of entertainers. He did some of his work and he helped actors remember their lines. The next year, he went to Mihai Pascali's troupe. Both of these places were the most famous Romanian theatres of their time, the last including Matei Milo and Fanny Tardini Flădicescu. He soon settled in Bucharest, where at the end of November he became a clerk and did some more of his work for the National Theatre.
Is that all we know?
Yep.
Since that's all we know about the start of his career, maybe tell us about the end of it?
So, his literary career ended abruptly in 1883 due to a mental illness.
What mental illness?
He suffered from manic depressive psychosis.
What's that? Oh wait, is it bipolar disorder with psychotic features?
You googled that, didn't you?
Maybe.
Isha. Anyway, I was going to talk about the themes of his work.
Tell us then.
A few of the themes he explored are...
Can I guess some?
fine.
Love?
Obviously. Do you know any others?
No, not really.
The rest are nature and nostalgia. He also writes about social and political issues in his work.
Oh, that's cool. Is that it?
Well, not exactly.
Could you tell us more about it?
To start with, he delved into the complexities of human emotion, which was particularly sorrow and passion.
That's interesting. Was there only one type of love which he used in his poems?
There was more than one type of love that he used.
For example?
For example, romantic, forbidden love, love for Romania, and love of nature.
What were the aspects of those?
They were romanticism, intense emotion, myth, and folklore.
Wow, I got to ask, was he only a poet?
Aha, the answer to that is no.
Oh, well then, what other careers did he have?
He was a novelist.
So, an author?
Yes, if you like layman's terms.
I personally love layman's terms. I mean, who doesn't? It's simple English. Why do you need all those massive words?
Whatever. Anyways, he was also a journalist.
What does a journalist do again?
Is someone who writes for newspapers and magazines.
Barely anyone reads newspapers anymore. Why would you when you have phones?
He was born before the internet was created. They didn't exactly have TikTok.
Well, I feel bad for them. I could never survive without the internet.
Me neither. Let's try and not get sidetracked anymore. What were we talking about again?
Something about his careers.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. Eminescu was an active member of the Junimea Literacy Society and he worked as an editor for the newspaper The Time, which in Romanian is Timpul, the official newspaper of the Conservative Party.
That's interesting. What impact did he give on Romania?
Eminescu transformed both the form and content of Romanian poetry. This also created a school of poetry that has strongly influenced Romanian poets and writers.
I think that's enough for now, don't you think?
I agree. Our next topic is on Princess Diana. Bye.
Bye.
That was truly delightful. Sadly, that's all for today. We'll see you next time for more CHSG History Podcast. Bye.
Remember to like and subscribe.